started.
Okay, great. Welcome everyone to the Festival of Chimes and Lights Committee, Monday, January 24th. And we're going to start with a bit of a review of this past Chimes and Lights. Can't wait to hear from you, Kathy. How did things go for you down at the fort?
Great. I hope people liked our new additions. Brian worked really hard and the crew worked really hard on the orcas and all the sea animals and just, you know, the music and different programming things. And we're already talking about next year. So there's some surprises already in the works.
Oh, Kathy, it was just exquisite. And you know, people started driving through at 4:30 and the line was steady until about 7:30. And then it started breaking up a little bit, but I don't know if we didn't really get a count, but it was amazing. It really was. Your display, thank heavens you did all that. Oh, it made it so worth everyone's coming down. It was so beautiful.
Oh,
and
thanks. I'll let crew know. They did a good job.
Oh, it was such a good surprise, you know, to see all those new displays. I'm like, where did she get these from? She must have pulled them out of her hat.
Our crew made those. Our crew made all of that. So, yeah. Brian,
I love the jellyfish one.
Maintenance.
Oh, it was just beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. I'll let him know. He worked hard. But he
Oh my gosh.
I talked to him a few minutes ago and I said, I have this meeting. Is there anything you want me to bring to the group? And he said, no, he's already got stuff we're in the works for next year. So. Wow.
Well, thank you so much. That was huge. It was just beautiful. And I loved having that display continue over in that parking area. Oh, the sleigh over there with that was really cool. Nice. That's a really nice backdrop, having that sleigh there with the mountains behind it.
Yeah, we did have to put signage on it for people wanted to sit on it and take pictures, and just for liability, we had to put a "please don't climb." You know.
Yes. Sharon, hi.
I can see everybody, but I'm not there for some reason, and I don't know why.
Okay, so probably you need to allow your video to go on. There's in the left hand.
Let me see. Speaker test, switch, leave computer audio, microphone. I don't see anything that says video.
So Sharon, just try this once. In the left hand corner of your Zoom screen, there's a mute, and then to the right of that, there's a stop video. Do you see that on your screen? If you put your cursor on that left corner, there's a stop video button there. If you hit that, that'll allow you to pop on. And unmute yourself too so we can hear. Does that work? Okay, we'll keep watching for Sharon. I know she's here. Okay, so I wonder if Sharon can give a report on PABSA, or Chris, can you?
I really don't have any good information one way or the other.
Okay. Well, we'll wait for Sharon to unmute and hear if she has anything to report. But Janine, I think you do, don't you?
Couple things. So I know Bill had come up and we're just, you know, talking about the event last year and how it went. And he said while he was down there, sorry, I'm reading my notes right now.
That's okay.
When he was down there, that he was approached by some people who said they were a little confused about how the judging went for the tree contest. He said about 6 different people asked him about the judging, and some of them felt they just had absolutely no chances of winning first, second, third, or even getting consideration. So I guess some people had mentioned maybe judging per block or doing it a different way. And so I told Bill I would bring that up to the committee.
Confused by judging. Huh. By block, I don't think that's not going to work. Maybe what we'll do is as we give out applications, maybe what we should do is actually have some information on there about judging. It's a judge team. I mean, this gets tricky, but you know, these are people from the community who volunteered, are really engaged, and they actually have worked up an amazing spreadsheet where they go through separately, and that's not all the same people every year. And what they do is they've got all their categories and they rank. I think it's 1 to 10, and they have quite a lot of criteria. And they actually come back together at the end to score. So they're doing it separately. I suppose we could have it done another way, but we had complaints, when we had.
That's about as fair as it can get. I mean, if they're judging independently and then compiling everything, I mean.
Well, I just, if anyone has other suggestions, we tried having Santa judge one year, Santa and Mrs. Santa, and people were concerned about that.
Yeah.
It's probably, Cindy, it's probably more that people don't know how it's done rather than there's anything wrong with the way it's done.
Okay.
So you might want to put something on the website, maybe a blank copy of the criteria sheet.
Sure.
So that people know what criteria is being looked at when the judges are doing something. And that way the people that feel like they're not ever going to have an opportunity to win know what people are looking for.
Okay. What we do have on the sheet are the categories. We had the categories, and what we had on there was, let's see, I'm trying to think of the different ones. The most classy or classic, the overall best in show, and the best business representation. Those were our 3 categories. And it turned out that we actually had, I don't know, do all of you know who the winners were? We posted on the website and we had a list. It's hard to get that information out. Best business representation, number 1 went to Scott McClendon's. I don't know if you've seen that tree. They put a tremendous amount into that. The overall best of the show was Mini Pez Acupuncture. They did a tree with feathers and birds, and then the runner-up, a tie, was Long Lake Garden Club, and that one was full of dried blooms and things, and that was down near the bistro. The most classy classic first went to Stephanie Albright, who's right here with us today, because she's going to be volunteering to help us. So I think that's a good idea, Chris, is that we can write on our sheet, and we'll work on that, Janine. We'll work on something or handing this out or have at least a link. Maybe we can have a link on here because we do fill this up. We have a problem because on the front and back, we filled every square inch with information, and it seems we have to keep adding every year.
Yeah.
But that's a good idea. So Bill heard that a couple of times from people, and it was that they were confused about the judging itself. Okay. All right. We'll make that clearer. If we had buckets of money, we could keep putting ads in, but it's tricky getting all of our sponsors identified and information out, and then a follow-up because ads and things cost so much. So we're relying on people to go to the website, and but that's good information. Was there anything else, Janine, that they said?
Yeah, he said just a couple people said that they felt their trees were smaller than some of the other trees. And Bill said, unfortunately, that's not really something that he can take care of, because when we call the tree farm, they pre-bundle the trees for us. And by the time we get out there, they're all bundled up and they just put them in the truck and then bring them out here. So I guess maybe some of the trees might have been, not as full or a little smaller. So it wasn't as uniform throughout the whole street. So some people just were not, complaining, just, questioning, hey, I noticed my tree was a little smaller. But Bill said, yeah, there's just unfortunately nothing he can do about that one. And other than that, yeah, just put more information on website and the application. And really that's what Public Works said.
Okay. And that might even been just a few people. I heard from quite a few who were so pleased. They loved the trees. They loved the look of the trees driving through town. I thought it was magnificent.
It was beautiful.
To drive through town and see it all lit up like that. I was very, very disappointed in those 2 trees being stolen and those few things that were vandalized. In fact, I was kind of holding my breath because after those 2, I was thinking, oh, now what? You know, I have to confess to you that I even sent a note to the mayor and said, should we cancel Chimes and Lights? He said, no. I was just really so upset that people would do that. But you know, yay. It was so cute actually to see that little tiny tree that was planted in the planter where that one was stolen. And then it just kept adding on tinsel. Little tiny tree with all this stuff. And then the other side of the block where the tree was stolen, the fern was put in there and it was all decorated. And, you know, so people made the best of it. And yay, it stopped. And I was really grateful that Bob Smith put an article in the paper about the Grinch. And you know what? That kind of awareness was wonderful. I was really pleased with the Independent and the articles that were written. Some really nice coverage for us. So I think with that, we will work on getting a little bit more information in about the judging. And what about the length of time the trees were up? How did everyone feel about that?
Is it the responsibility of the people to take their trees down?
Yeah, we gave a date. And it was pretty late. We extended it because last year it seemed like everybody had to get everything out so quickly. We said January 17th. So see, it was just this past week or so, so that people could enjoy the lights a little bit longer. Although when Public Works took down the icicle lights on Bay Street, then there was no power to the trees. So that was something I had put on the agenda. How do you all feel about when those icicle lights come down? Do you think that that's too late to go, middle of January, or do you like the idea of keeping them up a little bit later? Do you have thoughts on that?
I think if you're going to take down the lights and unplug all the lights to the trees, that it should be simultaneous together.
Right.
Like you said, leaving the trees there without the icicles above it, no power, they're just there.
Right. Oh, I totally agree. I hadn't counted on Public Works taking those down that soon, but it's something we can coordinate with in the future. And I'm not sure if they have a real reason why they come down as soon as they do, or if that was just when they had staff to do it.
They probably just had some empty time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do have a question though. Do you have any idea who put the lights back on our tree after they were stolen?
Sharon, I did.
Well, thank you, Cindy. We really appreciated that. We have the lights in our car. If you would like them back, I'd be happy to give them to you.
Sharon, hang on to them. Hang on to them for next year. Yeah. No, I couldn't stand seeing your beautiful tree down there so dark on the corner.
I just couldn't believe anyone would take the lights off of it.
You know what? There's a lot of things I can't believe.
I just couldn't believe it. I had to go through a lot of work because the lights were the first thing that we put on.
I don't know how they could have gotten them out. Honest to goodness, they must have used butter or something, because the decorations didn't even look like they were moved.
But we had some that were dropped off and damaged. So,
well, and you know that beautiful nutcracker was stolen, that those people worked so hard on, and that looked so cute on that pole. But you know what? We just need to move on, and we're not going to let the bad guys make it bad for everyone else. We'll just, you know.
We had stuff stolen too. We had some of our blow ups stolen, and our tree had stuff vandalized and thrown on the ground. So, but you just, like you said, you got to move past it. And
yeah, you do.
You know.
But overall, I honest to goodness, I mean, we were one of the most beautiful communities around, and the City Hall, Kitsap Bank, all of those lights and everything. And wasn't Bay Street just glowing? Josephine's and Revivals, those displays. I didn't even know we had that photographer down there. Bay Street looked so beautiful, and just, I loved it. I love the life that there was down there again. You know, it just seems like it's coming back somehow.
Make things bright and merry, and it gets you.
Yeah, and you know, the RV, Kitsap RV, allowed us to use that one RV, and then Santa and Mrs. Claus were in there. And I have to tell you, I put a few little refreshments in there for them. to entice them to stay a little longer. And they were very merry in there.
Oh,
And I'm going, yes. I had thought that they would only stay there a while because we couldn't really turn on certain appliances in the RV just because of the electricity. But I had this little tiny space heater, and they were all in their, garb. But the refreshments really helped a lot on all levels, and they were such good sports. They stayed in there a very long time, looking very merry. And another thing was, across the street, the Saints and Terry Bontrager, brought over that old vintage fire truck. And wasn't that just sweet to see that they're all lit up? The Saints got it all lit, and Terry was there sitting in a van. It was just so cute. And then they also did their own little display with some blow ups. I know this is just pathetic, but it was just glowing and so fun. So we had a few little things in place to keep from having those dark spots. And again, the beautiful tree. I know this is so terrible. I don't have good photos, but I love it. I love it. So onward, we move onward. I have no idea yet what's left in the budget. I asked Brandy if we could get a summary of what was spent, because a lot of times I don't know, because it's salaries and things that take a while for finance to put together. So next meeting, I'll have a better idea of what we have left in the budget. And if there's not too much, I may have to go back to the council and just tell them we had an expense last year that I hadn't planned on, and that's that transportation. But we had some really nice coverage in the independent. So we're moving ahead, and I think everybody's ready for a live event. We'll go back to kind of that old format of choirs. The marching band, they're ready. And Santa's and Mrs. Santa are looking forward to coming back. And this year, if you kind of remember, we chatted last year and talked about a theme being Christmas around the world, moving forward for a period of time. And this happens to be Scotland. It's Christmas in Scotland this year. So we'll be working with plaids and hopefully bagpipes and some Scottish stuff, music. So there's a lot to work with, I think, with that theme. And I think next year it turned up to be Jamaica. So we're going to have some real different kinds of things to work with. Yeah. And I think we can start those tree sales probably anytime. Now we better talk about that, you guys. What about reserving? We've had it heretofore that if you wanted your spot that you had last year for your tree, that you could put your dibs on it. And then that would run out by a certain time. Wasn't that about September 1st, Janine?
I believe so. That sounds about right.
So you could actually just put a hold on it. You wouldn't even need to necessarily pay, but then it would open up as of September 1st if you hadn't paid. And then from then on, people can reserve their trees. So we can do that again. We had another couple of planters go this past year. So we just have 55 now. And I worked on getting them numbered, but the numbering goes away or changes. And those planters have feet. Sometimes those planters actually walk around down on Bay Street at night when we're all gone. I don't know how they do it, but I have found planters in places and I'm going, how in the heck did you get here? So we don't really know what all goes on Bay Street, but we're working hard to keep the planters in the right place. And so that when people reserve like planter numbers 6 or 7, it's where they thought it was going to be and not across the street or who knows where. Anyway, we'll do that again. I think people, for the most part, really enjoyed the trees. I think we'll try to see if we can keep the price point the same, $50. And I know some of the trees were smaller than others, and some of them were fresher than others. I mean, I could see that when I was down there working, and I don't know how we can change that. We really do get a pretty good deal from the supplier that we work with. but it's really hard to get the exact same size for all that many trees. And so now we can only sell 55. We'll just keep working on it. And what I do see, everyone, is, boy, we need to have a budget at some point for replacing those planters downtown. They're getting very brittle, and they're I don't know how much longer they're going to last.
Some of them have big chunks out of them.
Oh, I know. I try to turn them so they're not facing the street, but yeah, it's tricky. So that will have to be something we work on, either a fundraiser or something to try to replace those planters. Although I know there'll be a lot of changes downtown in the next several years. So let's see what else. So it looks like the Kitsap Main Community Connection, we had an approval for 2022. Is that $1,000 grant?
Correct.
Okay. That's amazing that they keep supporting us.
Absolutely.
You know, at first, when I heard that they were closing that branch, and I was like, oh no, because I was counting on their lights. And so I frantically called them up and said, you are going to decorate this year, right? And he said, well, we weren't planning on doing the trees or this or that. And I said, oh, we need you. So they did decorate quite a bit. They didn't do the trees right by the kind of the teller drive up area, but that is still worked out fine and it was beautiful. But it's something we'll have to keep an eye on, especially as we get closer. Well, no, it will be able to, they'll probably still decorate the same until they build their new building, which is supposed to happen sometime in the next 5 years. We're all waiting to see plans and get a timeline on that. So that's pretty much the scoop of what I have. Are there any other suggestions for changing anything along the way? Do you like the idea? Pretty much in the past, we had the tree lighter light the tree at 5:30, and the Kitsap marching band, Kitsap High School marching band, would lead Santa and Mrs. Claus, usually on a fire truck, to the area, and then Kitsap marching band would play. Prior to that, the choirs would take turns on the main stage in front of City Hall. And I know I had quite a few choir directors asking about that again. So we'll see if they can come up with some kind of Scottish Christmas music or whatever they do. Did anyone hear the chimes from City Hall? Did anyone get to hear those?
I
I
did
heard
when we
chimes.
drove by.
Yeah, they're quiet. They're quiet for the town and loud for the people next door.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to get that balanced. But you know what? I would go out on my porch just listening. I couldn't hear any music, and I'm like, oh, they're not playing again this year. But then I did. I heard them, and I love it to hear the chimes playing. So that's the best we can do right now with that music player in there. Let's see. I think we should explore whether we can have a Pooch and Purr type parade. Again, that's kind of gone on the back burner, and I know Woodside was involved in that in the past.
There's a couple of other new vets in town if Woodside isn't interested.
Okay. And who kind of headed that up? Was that Kathleen?
It was a Pops event for a while, so probably either Kathleen or Corrine.
Okay. Oh yeah, I would have loved to have had Corrine's input too today. And I'll be talking to her, find out if she has other things. I'm sure she does. With her location, she kind of gets to see and hear a lot. So we'll check on the Pooch and Purr parade. I know that we will have the choirs, and we'll for sure have the marching band. And Janine, we might want to start approaching the hospitality groups that we've had in the past.
Okay.
And see if they have any interest in taking place again, volunteering.
Seroptimist will. So
Okay.
we'll do the
Okay.
coffee and like we did before.
Okay.
What
Cool.
about the hay rides, Cindy?
Oh,
They took forever.
it's, you know what, we had a bit of a clash, and the hayride people didn't like how law enforcement was handling their routes, etc. And they basically decided that this wasn't going to work for them anymore. And they were at the end of some leadership within their group. So we will not be getting hay rides back unless there's been a change of heart there.
Well, it's been a couple of years, so maybe there has.
Well, you know what? That's something I wondered about. You know what? Should we do hay rides? Should we try to do? I kind of like horse and carriage. I wonder how that would work. Do you know what, you guys? Do you know we had to pay almost what, $6,000, $7,000 for that transportation management that we had?
Oh my God.
And I don't know, honestly.
That's a big chunk of your budget.
Oh, it is. It is. And you know, we never had planned for that in the past. You know that. Not those are, and that's for any nonprofit now. Sharon's got to deal with that.
Yeah, well, when I drove the parade route and saw, you know, the Chimes and Lights route, and I saw how small of an area it encompassed, knowing that the Grand Parade is 5 or 6, 7 times larger than that, my quote was only 7,000 at the high. And there's no way when you compare that little route for the Chimes and Lights to the parade that it would be $1,000 difference. I cannot imagine what they're going to sock it to us for.
You know, Sharon, what I end up hearing today is that the city needs to have prevailing wage and other things taken into consideration. And finance is doing some research to find out if that applies to organizations like this traffic management firm. And if it does, then the city has to pay these higher wages. I don't know how we win. I
don't either. Well, I have to meet with them, and I'm scheduling an appointment with them with my vice chair next week or the week after, because once I submit the event request to the city, I have to have the traffic plan in place and with it. And when I already got the quote from them, their high side, like I said, was $7,000. There's no comparison to the parade route and the Chimes and Light route. Totally apples to oranges.
Yeah, I hear you. And, you know, apparently finance is doing some work on that to find out what we can and cannot do just by the laws that we're governed by. So I'm wondering too, if, you know, maybe, anyway, we'll review what we were charged and everything and see how those laws apply. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to the council and just say, if we're now required to have this transportation plan, then we'll have to have a larger budget. That's all there is to it. But you know what, you guys, once we have a transportation plan, why would we need to have a new one every year? I mean,
you wouldn't. It should stay in force.
And you would think that that would cut out some of the expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So
the only expense it would cut out is the $350 that you have to pay to have the plan. It wouldn't cut out the others.
Okay. But, you know, this is something I do have to take back to the council because all nonprofits are dealing with this.
Yeah.
And we have had a history in our town of events. And I am wondering, and it's something I actually talked to the lodging tax committee about, if we shouldn't look at lodging tax to cover some of this, if there's no other way out.
Cindy, I did. I looked at lodging tax and put in for $7,000 for the Grand Parade, of which it was approved. However, based on apples to apples with what you did for the Chimes and Lights and what we plan to do for the parade, that $7,000 won't even touch what I'm expecting it to actually be. So that's why I have to go sit down with RCE and compare. This is what you did for the city, and that was $6,000, and yet you're only quoting me $7,000 for a parade, and we're utilizing 5 times the space. It just doesn't compute.
Right, unless you don't have to pay prevailing wage, and we do.
Yeah.
There may be some laws just because we're an entity, a government entity, that we would have to follow. That you wouldn't. So, you know, I'd say hurrah if you. I'm the one that's going to go boo, but you go hurrah, because if you're getting it for $7 and we paid almost that, yay.
Yeah, if it's going to cover that. But the police chief's going to look at that plan, and the fire marshal and the fire chief, and say, no, this isn't what we need, but yet there's the quote. So I guess we just cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah, I think they've gotten to the point now of, you know, since they finally approved the transportation plan, having the professionals come in. You know, another thing, you guys, we may want to work together as a group. If we're going to give our business to this one transportation company and we are guaranteeing them X number of events in a year, could we get a better rate, period? Is there some way that we can negotiate with the company? Because it's the same route, it's the same everything, right? Maybe we have a little bit of, you know, purchasing power, just if we kind of go together. If we have 5 events, is that going to bring the price down to something? I'm not sure. You know what? I'm just throwing these ideas out. But it's a real big change for us all to have to deal with this and regulate.
We're not holding the Siegel Splat rundown on the waterfront because there's no way we can afford $7,000 to $9,000 to hold the run just to have a traffic plan. So we're not doing the run downtown this year. And
Right. And you know, this is a bunny trail, but it's something worth getting input on, is that the city is being asked to consider banning all personal fireworks. And I don't know how anyone here feels about that. I've been getting some feedback, but I think it's really important for people to give feedback on that.
it made the news.
Yeah, it's really
On TV.
important. Really important to have feedback on that. And, you know, I have had some actual companies approach me already and say, well, can we look at a modified plan and not completely banning all fireworks? I feel a little uneasy about this. And, you know, I'm just speaking as one person, but I'm seeing both sides. I'm seeing some of the problems with craziness, and I'm also seeing the fire hazard potential. And yet, it's the one day of the year when people can celebrate. And, you know, as a kid, I ran around with sparklers and did all the smoke stuff, and it was so fun. I hate to see it completely go away. I just want a lot of people to respond so we get a better idea of how the public feels about this. But we're headed in that direction, and I just want public input like crazy. So kind of watch, we'll get information out. I hope we get a lot of people commenting. That's all I know. So that's a scoop. I don't think there's anything else. I imagine the Sydney Museum next year will be open, and the log cabin will continue to be open, as I just looked on my list here of things.
We certainly hope to be.
Okay. And as far as a run, do you know if UConn would actually be planning a run within Chimes and Lights? Probably not. Have you heard anything? Does anybody know?
You might talk to her. They moved their December run from the end of the month till just after Christmas.
Oh, okay. So that January, it's more of a New Year's thing then, right?
It used to be December 30th or January 1st or something, but they moved it this year up
I think
closer
January 18th.
Okay.
December 18th is what I think it was.
I actually think that considering what transportation has become and the involvement with the highway closing, that not having the run as part of Chimes and Lights is probably better. That doesn't complicate things so much. And what we did hear from merchants is that they don't like having the street completely tied up the whole day necessarily because of business, you know, so it's this tug of back and forth. But probably I would think that we won't be having a run. I can't see that working out given the
I
new.
can't either.
Okay. Yeah, I'm leaning in that direction. We just keep it a Chimes and Lights event, and we really try to gear it that we watch carefully to not have the street closed down too early, so that the business owners can have plenty of business going on that day. And see that we didn't close the street down, I think, this year until 4:30, and then it wasn't the whole street. So we'll have to watch towards that. We really want safety, and thank heavens everyone was safe. You know, it's a crazy world, and I know the police department were really very reactive to what had happened in Wisconsin. And I don't know if any of you knew about that, but somebody went through with a car, with a vehicle in Wisconsin, and was smashing down people participating in a parade. And this guy was just crazy and went through various barriers, and he killed, I don't know how many people, and injured a lot of people. I think he's probably on drugs or something, but that was right around the time when the police were looking at our event application. You know what? They were like, oh, we're not gonna have that happen here. And truthfully, it's getting that crazy out there. If they can pull trees out and do everything else, we've got to be thinking about that. So to not have runners is probably a wonderful thing, just as far as safety goes. But we will have the street closed for the band to be able to march, and we can do that later. So we'll work on that plan for this year, and I think we'll be fine. So I think that's pretty much it, everyone. Thank you very, very much for all the work you guys put in.
Rocks were cool. You see that?
Oh yeah, the rocks, you guys. That was very neat. Sharon.
Somebody found one, huh?
Yeah, I don't know if you can
Sharon,
see it. It's a cool one.
Yeah, and it's
Well,
very cool.
what's interesting, as soon as the girls were putting them out,
Yeah.
there were people following us.
Oh.
Collecting them right then and there.
I took quite a few prizes down to the library, and Kathleen told me today there were some left. I said, just leave them down there for the next event.
For next year. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that was really fun. We should do that again. Don't you think, you guys? Sharon, do you think that that's something that the court can continue to do?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was that enough? Do we need more, or do you think that was pretty good for a number of?
For what we did, and considering the circumstances of not having the public down there, I think it was okay. And putting them down after the Saturday event, I think worked out better than putting them down the Saturday of the event.
Yeah, definitely. We don't want it to interfere. And I think that did work out well. To have that going through the month of December then is really good. So
we could do some more sand dollars next year, because the sand dollars are the ones that we said if they find a sand dollar, because they were the ones that were numbered on the back that you took into the library.
Okay, you'll just have to keep me posted on how many so I can keep ahead with some prizes. Yeah, but I think as we do these things, then the public, they'll get better known amongst the public about what's going on. And these are all just fun stuff, and if we can think of just another kind of event, maybe, or like I was thinking that horse-drawn carriage or something, or
I think we ought to work with Matt Murphy to do some kind of a Santa cornhole during the day on Saturday down in the marina area as another addition to something to do down there.
Yeah, but cornhole in the pouring rain or cold, it's not as fun as some things. Maybe. I mean, I'm not.
Well, I'll get my royalty thinking, and we'll come up with a new fun game that attracts kids.
Okay, but for sure, the sand dollars and the rocks, that's all cool. And
the boats will be back again.
Oh yeah, you guys, the boats. Yes.
Yeah, we had quite a few show up anyway.
You did.
Yeah.
I know, and actually, it was beautiful out there. It was amazing. I just wish they could parade. It would be fun to have that going on. All right, so December 3rd is our next event, and we'll be planning away like crazy. Let's see. Our next meeting, Janine, we usually do the second.
The second Monday? Yeah.
Yeah, except that it's too soon. Boy, do we want to do it on Valentine's Day, or should we just go ahead and make it? Oh, President's Day is on the 21st.
Yeah, we're closed on the 21st.
All right, you guys, would you be able to come to a meeting on Valentine's Day?
The 14th of February, I'm going to be busy that day, and I leave the next day for the ocean.
Okay. Well, I think we should have a meeting and it's awfully close to, well, Sharon will just have to maybe, let's go for Valentine's Day, I think, because the 21st is closed. Unless we want to scoot over to the 22nd. That's a Tuesday. That might be tricky for staff. We've got a, Janine, what would your schedule look like on Tuesday, the 22nd?
Let's see. I am, yeah, it is a council night, but from 3:30 to 4:30, I can absolutely do a Chimes meeting.
You guys, what do you think about that?
That's better for me.
Yeah, actually would work for me too. Chris, does that work for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So
you
it'll
guys,
be
this-
2/22/2022.
Woo!
Can't forget that.
I have another meeting at 4, so
Okay,
I might be able to come for part of it, but not all.
okay. Okay, we should meet at 2:22 that day.
That would be better for me.
I can always
No,
be
actually-
earlier.
Except he might not be able to make it. Oh, well, let's.
I
should we
could do, if you wanted to meet earlier at like 3, I mean, staff wise, Brandy and I will both be here.
3 o'clock, you guys. Let's do 3
3
o'clock
o'clock.
on the 22nd.
You
Let's
got it.
Make it up.
Perfect.
Okay, that's really fun. Yeah, I'll hand out hard candy.
I like it.
All right, thank you everyone for coming. Stephanie, we didn't hear from you, but thank you for attending, and we'll find out if you have an interest in, I don't know what. Hi,
Yes,
there
thank-
you are. Hi.
Thank you for the invite. I couldn't get my my camera to work properly today, but maybe next time. But I'm
Oh.
super excited to kind of be a part of this and come up with some ideas, and any help that I can provide would be fantastic.
Well, good. Come with ideas. If you think of anything like another event that we can do during this, you know, we're looking for something else too. So
Sure.
yes. So we'll see you everyone then at 3 o'clock on the 22nd.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Brandy.
Thanks
Thank
again
you.
so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.